Strong by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
I say when we sell.
Wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. GM, 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 GM. Today is Saturday, and it is the 5th of October, if I am correct in saying, yes it is. Alright, so let's look at the markets. First of all, BTC closing the week well in around 62k. So in terms of closing Friday's session, finishing above 62 for the end of the trading week in New York. Nice daily reversal candle. I would say decent chance that the bottom's in, because the fast 2-day sell-off was driven by purely volatility, nothing else. When markets have an unforeseen, unexpected bout of volatility, it can send them lower as there's an initial selling off of risk. Basically by traders, algos, programs saying reduction of risk is required. It's essentially just a deleveraging. I don't think BTC necessarily needed to go that far down, other than having that catalyst. So there is a chance that we see a pretty solid and strong rebound. You're also seeing across the altcoin market, things looking really good. Yesterday there was jobs data where the unemployment rate came in lower. See around here. The unemployment rate came lower. The non-farm payrolls came in higher, which are signs of a strong jobs market. And so, might wonder why the markets then reacted kind of to the downside initially and had some chop around, and the stock market had the same, where there was some volatility to the downside initially, or just after the pump, then initially down and then up. And the dollar, people mentioned the dollar rallied, and the dollar rally continued higher. How can the dollar rally? But if stocks are up and crypto's up, how's the dollar up? And bond yields as well. So I'll quickly cover this. Bond yields ripped. What does this all mean? Bond yields are like the prediction of interest rates. So this is a predictor for interest rate path over the medium term. The reason why this has risen is because the expectations for the Fed cutting rates have slowed down. If this is going lower and lower and lower and lower, it's like the market saying we expect the interest rate to go lower and lower and lower and lower and faster. That's what this is, the Fed. The Fed cutting rates, as they did last month, by 50 basis points, 0.5%. The expectation as of just a day ago, just back on Thursday, was almost a 1/3 chance that they would cut twice at the next meeting in November. Go back a week ago, it was a 50-50 chance that they would cut twice, so another 50 basis points. But yesterday, with that jobs data, that has evaporated entirely. There is now a 0% probability of them cutting twice, and the market seems set on them cutting once. So that can be viewed as a slower rate cutting cycle, or that the Fed are not going to be as aggressive with cuts, which is why there's a bounce back in the dollar. The more aggressive the Fed is with cutting rates, the weaker it would make the dollar, all else being equal, because easier conditions equals more debasement equals the dollar loses value. Of course, the dollar is just priced against other fiat currencies who are also doing the same printing, but the US prints more and has bigger markets. And generally, when the US is leading the way in interest rate cuts or being stimulative, it is dollar negative, positive for other currencies. That's why you saw a dollar rally, because the expectations maybe they won't be as aggressive on the cutting side as people think. Same as the yields. So that's why all that happened. All that matters now, as we talked about on altcoin request stream on Thursday, this market's looking really good, to be honest. And many of these, it's mostly memes at the moment. There's Popcat. I'm not really trading or following Popcat that much. It's already over $1 billion. I think it can go a lot higher, I'm sure. But there's a few of them. One that I mentioned yesterday, this Land Wolf that's on my radar. And the expectation I would have would be something like that, of the way it would move. I think a lot of these have broken their downtrends, and it's just a case of, do they rally hard and fast, or do they have some more consolidation? I'd like to see some more consolidation. It came back nicely into its 4 hour trend. So the way I would view this is, I would just watch this with its 4 hour, 50, 100, 200. And as long as it respects the 4 hour trend, I would have a long bias over the next several weeks on it. You also have Chud, which had a nice bounce back. We talked about this one. I would like to see that go lower. May not get the opportunity to, although we did get that dip back. So if you're looking at here, where it had its own breakout, then had a big pump, dumped all the way down. I mentioned this on all coin requests. This was the dev dumping all his tokens as they forced him out of the project, I believe. Had a pump up yesterday. I think now, basically, a retest of this support is what I'd be watching for. So right along here, that would be an area I'd be looking at. I'll put this in fucking blue or something. Zoom it in, look at the 4 hour trend. 4 hour trend is positive, bounced off the 50 and sort of went almost to the 100. Obviously, again, look at this wick. This is just one person selling a bunch of their coins all at once. You can't TA for this. You can't be like, oh, well, that means, technical analysis broke. If there's a low cap with low liquidity and someone just fucking nukes the chart, that's what's going to happen. But once all that fear and panic subsides, you can see this now building itself into what looks like it should be probably a breakout attempt. So Chud is one that's interesting. If we get a retest, maybe the 50 EMA, it's something worth watching. I would have that on notifications for that, and zoom it out and looking at some of the daily charts. I'm not like, there's meme coins pumping today. There's definitely altcoins rallying on the weekend. I'm just looking at this and saying, moved up, consolidated, pushed to the highs, came back, consolidated again for months, has made higher highs, higher lows all the way. These charts are the type of charts that are ready for bigger moves. It may not come right away. I would be more of the opinion that these are things that I have on my radar. Wolf, Chud. What else? Obviously Pepe. Pepe is going to be lagging slightly, I believe, because it had a deeper sell-off, but Pepe itself is in a really good position, I believe, for putting in a higher low, and I would expect Pepe to probably rally back towards the highs, back to the lows, and then go later on from there. It's going to take probably a little bit longer for Pepe, but overall, again, as long as it stays above this level here, is looking good. I mentioned this as well. A lot of these diagonal downtrend breakouts, and I'd never buy these diagonal breakouts. I would rather wait to see the rally happen and then it flush back, so I know the people who did buy into those diagonal trendline breakouts have at least suffered some pain, and then look for reaccumulation. Pepe's got the bands, the daily bands, so assuming it stays above its daily bands, I think Pepe is a good one to keep on the radar as well. Whiff, which I think as well will do good. Again, here you go, right? Diagonal breakout, broke out, back down, retest. You're looking at the same kind of thing, where you're looking at whiff to stay above. I would think that some of these, because again, a lot of people are going to start getting long here again, thinking, oh, breakout, retest, let's go. So you might see a little bit more chop and maybe one more low on some of these. That's possible. If you've just too many people trying to get in long and chase it, there could be one more low and sweep those stops. I would again watch whiff around its bands. And then Apu. And there's loads more, but a mistake you don't want to make. Don't try and track or follow too many coins. So Apu hasn't, if you're looking at this downtrend line, it seems like Apu's a bit further behind. It's held support. It's held support. And I would think that it's either going to, break out in a bigger move and then have to have a retest and some kind of more consolidation, or it's going to chop around a bit more in here before then. Good one to keep on the radar as well over the coming months. And what else? That's really all. There's loads more, but for me, and probably a cat coin as well, which I don't have. I don't really have one on my radar yet. There's Popcat, which I think has maybe gone too much. There's Mog. There's Michi. I haven't chosen one to keep an eye on. But definitely I think that memes are remaining the center of attention, and those are the ones I want to keep on my watch list to trade them. I would be probably just trying to trade short-term trade most of them if I see attempts of breakouts and trying to catch some impulse moves. Wolf would be one that I would say is probably more of a multi-week or multi-month hold, probably multi-week, as I think it's going to act as Pepe Beta, and so I would have a focus on those coins. Doesn't mean to buy them all today. It doesn't mean to buy them at all. It means they're what's on my radar for my systems. So I'll trade them with the EMA bands. And speaking of which, today's weekend workshop is going to cover exactly this. So let me shield the weekend workshop before I finish. Trend trading with EMAs. So using these bands, 50, 100, 200, how to use them in combination, how I use them for trend trading, how to get entries, how to exit, invalidation, targets, using multiple time frames on the bands for trading trends, which I think we are in, and we're going to continue in for the next few months. And I think that's going to be one of the optimal ways to approach this market, getting in, getting out, not overstaying your welcome, because memes will get very crowded as the market keeps rising. That's natural. BTC itself, of course, is not like in breakout territory yet, although I think that's coming as it seems to be building energy quite nicely. If it can get back above 65, I think we probably see quite a big expansion. And so that's it. See you at 4 p.m. UTC. We'll go through the EMA trends lesson, weekend workshop, GM.